Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and I'm a full-time reseller on both eBay and Amazon, and today we are going over my sales numbers, complete sales transparency, as well as transparency and other aspects of being a content creator. I know I said I wasn't making another one of these and that if I did I was going to make it a Patreon exclusive, but transparency is kind of my thing, and I'm gonna keep this one as condensed as possible and not go into a million different directions like I have with my previous income breakdown videos, but I would recommend watching those too to get the full picture on what it looks like for me to be a full-time reseller. So without further ado, let's get into the numbers. Roll the intro. We're gonna start with eBay. I'm gonna be constantly glancing over at my sheet with notes on it because I cannot remember numbers for the life of me. But I sold $62,691.20 on eBay gross sales. The total number of units was 1,794, which gives me an average selling price of $34.94. Compared to my eBay sales in 2022, I was up 28%, which really surprised me because, my last video was kind of doom and gloom, oh no, my sales went down on both eBay and Amazon. What am I gonna do? But like reselling, people need to know that you'll have up years and you'll have down years, and this year eBay went back up. But if we look at my individual items sold, it's down 52.2%, which means I pushed almost 50% more items, but only received a 28% increase in sales. This tells me that I was probably churning more smalls, which is something that, I'm very open about doing. I love my smalls. I'm not gonna step over a $5 sale because why would you do that? It's worth the time for me. And I'm trying to normalize that it's okay to do these sort of things in a landscape where everyone's you need to focus on average sales price. You need to only be spending your time on expensive items. You should be trying to build a business where you focus on selling the least amount of things for the most amount of money. That's great in theory if you can do it. But I feel that most people are gonna be in the churning smalls category. So that's me normalizing that. My average sales price went down 15.9%, which kind of lends itself to that theory that I was pushing a higher number of cheaper items. I don't think my ROI was really affected much, so it just seemed like I was more comfortable selling more cheap things, but still probably making the same percentage off of each sale, which is also fine. And I like to do my category breakdowns because when people share their eBay income, it's really easy to tie eBay with thrift reseller. But, if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that I don't just do thrift. I do other categories for eBay as well. I think it's really important to see not only what somebody's numbers are, but what they are doing that's contributing to those numbers. For eBay, in terms of unit count, units sold, here are the percentage breakdowns. Thrift was naturally my biggest category at 39.3%. My eBay is usually pretty thrift oriented, and even though I did break bins out as their own category, that kind of ties in with thrift too. So if we add those two together, it's more like 43.3%. Next category was retail, which encompasses any retail locations that are not local liquidators. So I did not branch out grocery stores and drugstores like I used to in the past. I'm just lumping it all together in this video for retail. That was 20% of my items sold on eBay. The next category was my pallet, which I've done a video about. That was a whopping 15% of my items sold, which comes as a surprise to me because that was really only active for the last 3 months of the year. So for something that was only active for a little bit of time, making up 15% of my items sold, that's pretty interesting. That pallet is the epitome of churning smalls because besides the Joico Ice Spikers, which I bought the pallet for, everything else is a volume deal. I might make $5 off of each sale, but I have so much of it that it's fine. For some reason, I skipped over liquidations here. That's any store that sells truckload merchandise, stuff from Amazon, stuff from Target, shelf pulls, clearance that didn't sell.
those kind of stores, they operate as bin stores sometimes. That accounted for 13.9% of my items sold on eBay.
Everything else was a smaller percentage. 5.9% of my items sold came from my home, so my personal belongings that I was just liquidating and getting rid of. And that is higher than previous years because I have been getting rid of most things that I just don't have a use for anymore. I completely liquidated my personal video game collection. So all of my Super Nintendo games, all of my Nintendo 64 games, my consoles, I had like a Pico and Pico games in storage. I liquidated all of that because I want the money to put towards the land that I so desperately want. And I was at a point where I was only keeping that stuff for my kids, and my kids didn't really have much interest in it. So it made sense to just finally be rid of it because I'm not personally playing it anymore. If I want to play a Super Nintendo or an N64 game, I'm just going to play it on an emulator on my computer. Like, I don't need the tactile sensation of actually playing it, so I'd rather have the money. I broke the bins off into their own category because it was a new thing for me for 2023. I wasn't really in a bins rotation in 2022 in previous years. So I wanted to see exactly how much the bins were making up my sales. It felt like more items were sold, but no, it was only 3.4% of my total items sold, but that's still not too bad, considering most of the stuff I get at the bins is like so cheap that the half hour or so I spend at the bins each week, literally 30 minutes a week, got me 3.4% of all of my items sold. Garage sales, yet again, bringing up the bottom at 1.4%. I still just, every year I say this is going to be the year I get into garage sales, and then I just don't. But in my defense, peak garage sale season, I still had both of my kids home with me. And this year, with them both being in school and summer camp, I'm actually going to have some time to go garage sailing. This 2024 is going to be the first year that I actually can hopefully pursue garage sales as a sourcing method. So it being 1.4% is like, it's fine. I also started tracking consignment stores and consignment sales as a category this year, and that was only 1.1% of my total items sold. Consignment stores are like stores that sell anything on consignment, so you can go in there and buy shoes and clothes, and a lot of them also sell beauty products, so I've been going in there looking for beauty. That also counts for those big children's resale events that I made a video about. That counts as consignment because it's technically consignment. And I buy toys and all sorts of stuff from those. But that only happens twice a year. So it's not gonna make up a huge percent of my sales, and I don't expect it to, but I still thought it was an interesting metric to include. So of that $62,691, how much did I net? Meaning after my cost of goods, meaning how much I spent to purchase the item, shipping, because most of my stuff is free shipping, so I'm paying out for shipping, as well as fees, both the eBay fees and my ad fees. I took home $33,211.88. I also think it'll be an interesting metric to talk about promoted listings, because when I share my solds on my Instagram account, in my stories, people will always ask me, like, it says sold with promoted listings. So do you promote everything? What's your percent you promote at? Is it really worth it to promote? I think I should do like a completely separate video about the logistics of promoted listings. But what I can give you is the dollar amount I spent for the entire year on my promoted listings. I promote usually at around 2%. You know, the lowest used to be able to do 1%, and then eBay said, we could make twice as much money if we made it 2% instead. So I just play their game, the lowest percent, what I've got to do. It cost me $841.80 for an entire year. To me, as somebody who has a background in marketing, that's cheap. If you're spending something on ads or advertising, less than $1,000 for the whole year, completely worth it. If we look at it as a percentage of my gross sales number on eBay, that's like literally like 1%, like maybe 1.5% of sales. I will pay 1% in sales all day long. to get the items moving faster or to get it in front of the right person. Do I wish eBay didn't make it so that you kind of have to play these games to win? Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have that extra $841, but at the same time, it's not breaking me to, let that 1% in gross sales go. Before moving on to Amazon, I'm going to cover my smaller platforms. That's going to be Mercari, Bonanza, and Etsy. I had a total of 59 sales on Mercari, which is a platform that I mainly use for liquidation, so my older stuff is on there. I haven't even moved any of my eBay stuff over there in like a year. So there's maybe like less than 150 listings on there. It's basically just my older eBay stuff and used beauty that I can't list on eBay. My gross sales were $1,969.96, and my net was $1,037. I really wish Mercari was a bigger platform for me, but my stuff just doesn't sell. Like, I'll list stuff and it's a fraction of the price on eBay because like people just don't pay as much on Mercari. It really has put a damper on my sourcing of used beauty. I'm really only doing it if it's like gonna be a high dollar sale. I had 41 items sell on Bonanza and Trugether. Bonanza really seemed to die for me this year. I don't know if it's the same with anybody else. It seemed like it was performing better in previous years. It still imports my entire eBay catalog, and yet barely any sales. Of those 41, 4 were for Trugether and the rest were for Bonanza. And that's because like I just stopped selling on Trugether around the beginning of the year because, again, I was barely getting any sales on these eBay mirror platforms, and I was getting even less sales through Trugether. So I just said, not gonna deal with 2 mirrors. I will just back Bonanza. The gross sales between both of those platforms were $1,372.39, and my net was $770.13. I have to mention Etsy, even though it's not reselling related. It is just something that I can make money off of though. I put my digital assets on there. I do t-shirts and decals. Basically, if I come up with a design, it's a set it and forget it kind of money-making thing. But it is on life support for real. Like, my Etsy year over year just keeps going down. And I have no one to blame but myself for it. Because in order to keep your Etsy alive, you have to be constantly injecting new products and hope that some of them really take off. Because the way the Etsy algorithm works is it's very rare to have an evergreen item that just constantly sells well. I do have one of those, but even year over year, it does backslide a little bit. So if I want Etsy to grow, I need to keep adding new products. I did add 2 new products in 2023, which is better than nothing, I suppose. They've barely made a splash. I've sold probably 10 total, so it's not like I'm rolling in dough over here from Etsy. But the best part about Etsy is all it takes is like one product taking off to support your store for a while. And with TikTok, that's completely doable. I see a lot of people talk about their products on TikTok and then it just like blows up to the moon. I'm not really set up for that strategy. I don't really talk about my products on my TikTok. Maybe I should. I have so many ideas for products too, but like either no means to make them or like they'd be too expensive and nobody would want to buy them. Like I would love to do embroidered sweatshirts. Like I would love to do a lime green sweatshirt with like an embroidered alien on it. People would probably think it's cute. People would probably buy it. But like the logistics of getting clothing up and going, I don't know. I should probably look into it. Every year, I say this is going to be the year I re-evaluate Etsy and I like revive it. Every year, I say the same thing. I'm going to revive Etsy this year. This is the year I'm going to do it. And then I just don't do it because it's not my focus. It's such a gamble with Etsy because you can put out a great product that is like well researched and like perfect for the niche you're trying to target. And it still might not get where it needs to go. I'm not trying to put anyone off starting an Etsy. I know a lot of people are interested in it because of the digital aspect. Like you can upload digital assets and sort of set it and forget it and just make money off of them. I will say that it's a little harder than it looks, and it's not the money-making machine that people think it is. That said, give it a try. It's a very low cost of entry platform, especially if you're doing print on demand or digital stuff. You know, the cost to list an item is pretty low. You don't necessarily have to advertise it, and just give it a try.
I went off on an Etsy tangent and forgot to talk about my actual numbers. My gross sales on Etsy last year were $8,593.31, and my net was $3,701.06.
Moving on to Amazon, we're going to talk about my gross sales and stuff over there. There were 1,458 FBA units and 1,465 FBM units for a total of 2,923 units sold on Amazon. As far as categories go, I'm not going to do a big breakdown on that because it's mostly the same stuff it always has been. It's retail arbitrage, be it from like drugstores, grocery stores, liquidation stores, and a splash of my pallet inventory. My Amazon gross sales were $71,546.75, which was a year-over-year decrease of 11%. Of that, my net sales on Amazon were $36,720.43. So if we add all of those numbers together, all the gross, all the net, what do we get? What am I actually living off of for my reselling income? All of the gross numbers together are $146,173.41. If we take all the net numbers, that is $75,440.50, which is a profit margin of 51.6%. Now, out of that net number, in complete transparency, I still have to pay Uncle Sam. I also have to pay for now my storage unit. I have to pay for any boxes and packaging material I use. But as I've stated in previous videos, my husband and I pool our shipping resources. So I don't even like buy a lot of the boxes anymore. He does. So there are numbers that come out of that I still have to account for. But I think it's easy enough to just land on $75,000. That's what I made this year. And for where I live, you know, in Ohio, it's a low cost of living state. I live in a low cost city. That's a pretty good income. That's like nothing to sneeze at. There are some other numbers I have to add into here though, again, in complete transparency, because this was the first year that my YouTube channel was monetized for the whole thing. So for the entire duration of 2023, I was able to earn money off my channel. And I'm sure you're assuming that you make a ton of money off YouTube, right? Once you get monetized, you're on easy street, right? The answer is no. Again, I spend more time making and editing the videos than I do off of what YouTube pays me to make them, essentially, because it's all based on views, and the majority of my videos only get about 2,000 views. So I do have a few videos that end up like surpassing that and getting like 15, 20,000 views, but those are rare. I'm still mostly in the trenches making not a whole lot of views. That said, according to my dashboard, I made $2,841.41 off of my YouTube content. And that's pretty great, like $2,000, almost $3,000 off of just making videos for you guys. I am never gonna complain about that. I didn't go into this with the goal of, number one, being a big YouTuber or making a lot of money off of YouTube. I just like making videos. Like, it's an interesting and fun activity for me. So whether I get big or not is irrelevant, because like, sure, it would be nice, but it's not the goal. Making money off of YouTube is not the goal. I don't want to be somebody that just shits out content for money. Like, where's the joy in that? And then as an offshoot to my YouTube, I did start my Patreon this year on Halloween, I believe. So we really only had, was it Halloween? Really? I'm gonna have to go look at my dashboard. Hang on. I don't know. It is showing that it tried to send me money in October. So if we look at all of the money from 2023 from my Patreon, which I should state, my Patreon is for like my Bolo group, basically. I have it capped at 100 members. It is currently full, so that's great. And I share a handful of Amazon leads every Monday. Sometimes it's a buy and hold opportunity. Sometimes it's some online arbitrage I've discovered. Sometimes it's a discontinued product. My goal is that at least one thing I mention in the course of that month will make you your $5 back. I'm not promising to make you rich, but I am giving you a lot of data. I'm giving you my research and my time, and I feel like that's worth $5. I also have a $10 tier where if somebody needs a little extra help, if they want me sort of in their pocket to help answer their Amazon questions and walk them through things. I used to do that kind of stuff for free, and it just became really overwhelming because I'd get a lot of Instagram DMs and such where people are just like begging me to walk them through everything. And like I want to do that, but at the same time I can't with my limited amount of time available. So this was the compromise. Like it's a $10 tier, gets you the whole month, basically an unlimited amount of time, an unlimited amount of questions. I will help you with whatever you need. I will answer all your questions. And, you know, a lot of people charge a lot more money for that, but I think $10 is fair. And then I have my Supernova tier for the people who just like really want to say thanks and support the channel and me. I have that limited to 2 spots, and it is full again this month with William and Rosie. So I do give a special shout out to my Supernova supporters. William and Rosie are A+ this month. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. According to my Patreon dashboard though, the amount of money I made while the Patreon was open in 2023 was $1,036.27. So it's gonna be pretty obvious that at some point I'm gonna make more off of my Patreon than I do off of actually making videos. And I could obviously open it up to more people and make even more money, but that was also not the goal. So I'm happy. I'm happy with the balance of monthly income between my Patreon and my YouTube income. But will it ever overtake my reselling income? The answer is no, and I don't want it to. I really want YouTube to remain like my place to just put out a fun video, because the second you try and make YouTube your main source of income, you become so dependent on your videos doing well. And at this point, if my video gets 2,000 views or 20,000 views, it enriches me the same amount personally. Like, I'm just happy to have put it out there. If it did well, great. If it didn't, oh well. Like, there's always next month. I don't want to feel like it's a job. It needs to stay the fun thing that it currently is. Looking ahead in 2024, what do I have in mind? Do I have any goals? Am I hoping for anything to happen? I really just want to get my land. And I know when I get it, I'm not going to be building on it till it's paid off, so it's probably another 3 years down the line. But just getting the ball rolling on that is my goal this year. And I will have an update for you on that pretty soon. I also just today had a Zoom meeting with a TV producer who is interested in perhaps making some sort of television program. Not just about me, but like reselling, I guess. No idea if that's ever going to come to fruition. No idea if I'm going to even be a part of it. But it is an exciting development because, like, TV, like, wow. I was able to complete a whole video without Ori walking in the background. That is a first. Oh my gosh. He's literally like asleep in his little cat nest, so he must have not felt the need to photobomb this video. I wonder if that's a good thing or not. Like, we should consider Ori in the video as a good luck charm. So I guess that means this video is gonna flop. And that was my income breakdown as both a full-time reseller and part-time content creator, I guess. I make a really decent living doing this. I'm happy doing this. I still maintain that most people can do this if they want to, but you do have to put the work in. You know, I basically feel like I work around the clock at this. It's not like I only work 3 hours a day. You know, some days I'm literally start the day packaging and end the day doing an FBA order or something. Like, some days it's constant. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Follow me on Instagram if you don't already. I usually share my recent eBay sales in my stories. If you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so because I make at least one video a month all about my full-time reseller adventures, be it retail arbitrage for Amazon or picking the thrift for eBay. As always, I appreciate any likes and comments you want to leave me. It does help the video in the algorithm. I'm not gonna make something up about why you should like the video. I'm just gonna tell you exactly why. And also, I like reading your comments, even the mean ones, even if you end up deleting your comment because you said something that was dumb. So if you feel the need to leave a comment, I would appreciate it. Now get out there, have fun, and find something good.